Just like talk for us so we can, like remember all these
Well,
events in your life and everything.
What was I telling you the other day?
Well, this morning you were telling me about being down or up in Bessemer where it was 45 degrees below.
Yes.
You were telling me about Grandpa climbing the pole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, she's told me stories.
We climbed that. That was when they used to have a pole to find fire in the.
Yeah, then you said
that was a fire pole, and we climbed it. Yeah.
And how high was it? It was like
100 feet.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
No.
Me either. I bet at 20 feet I'd be like crying.
20 feet.
See, this was back in the olden days.
I'd be like
before they had airplanes going over the forest and that. They didn't have any airplanes going over the forest then to see if they could spot forest fires. So they had these poles and.
See, that's what Kathy wants you to put on here. Just talk.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't want you to be worried about what you're going to say or anything.
No, just talk like you're talking to us.
Just talk like you're talking to us. Do you want me to take the belt off, or do you want me to leave that on?
Oh, you better leave it on.
Okay, all right.
So.
Okay.
But I mean, it's different though.
What's different? Well, remember when we taped Grandpa Joe?
What did he say?
Okay.
What did he say?
Well, he was talking about when you guys went down to Tiger Stadium and.
Oh yeah.
and you lost the car and everything, or you couldn't find the car.
That's right.
Why don't you tell us that?
Well, let's see. That must have been the 1945 World Series. And I was working, and I wanted to, anyway, go down and see I was working, so I thought it'd be a good chance to go down and see one of the World Series games. So but you had to buy them in series of 3s. So anyway, I bought the set and sold the other 2 games. I guess they I think they were only playing 3 games in Detroit that year. But anyway, I sold the other 2 to people I worked with. And Grandpa, too, he was so excited about going down because he had taken me down to several games. And I told you we saw Babe Ruth that time. He just came out and waved his hand, but we were going to go down to the World Series. So we went down there, jumped. I mean, there was no parking like there is now. I mean, you just parked on the street. And so we just parked there, jumped out of the car, ran into the stadium, I guess, got our seats and stuff, and saw the game and everything. And then we came out.
Who won?
I think the Tigers lost that game.
Okay.
Yeah. And anyway, we came out, and Grandpa said, well, where did we park? And I mean, Grandpa always knew where he parked. I mean, he never lost his car or anything. I don't know. I don't know where we parked. So, and it was all just street parking. You parked on the street somewhere. So we were just going up and down these streets, and no car. So finally, I don't know what street we even got on. And it was the only car left on the street was our car, his car. I mean, that was the only car left. So anyway, that's how we found our car, I guess, that day.
How many times did you walk around looking for it?
Oh, we walked up and down several times. I mean, we probably didn't go on that street before. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. But if there were a lot of cars there, maybe we just didn't even see it. But we saw this one car on the street left, and that was Grandpa's car.
Wow.
So we did get home.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that was just kind of.
They sell treats and everything too. I mean, we just bought the cat food.
Well, what about the year that you went up to Bessemer?
Did you get a picture of that?
Well,
It's on this kitchen.
I'm just trying to think how old I was. I think maybe I was about 16.
It's like dehydrated food.
15 or 16 maybe.
Well, I thought it was when you were 8.
Well, I did go up there when I was 8. I lived up there for a year when I was 8.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, okay. I was in the 3rd grade, and the school was in the opposite part of town
They sell other kinds of food
that we lived in.
This humane,
But my grandpa was the custodian
but we bought a
of the
can of
grade school there.
that
And so,
different
and
food.
my
It was a different
grandma,
company.
they always had their
She
big
might
main
have,
meal at noon.
like in a rabbit
So
flavor.
Grandpa and I were walking home, and he,
Oh, I didn't know they were recording it.
we got past that US 2, that was the big main east-west road through, and it went right through the middle of Bessemer. And anyway, we crossed that, and across the street then going down to Grandpa's house, there was this little old shoe repair, and he knew Grandpa real well, and so he just called out and said, well, he said, what are you doing out here today? He said, like, this is 45 degrees below zero. And we had walked home from the school, and
45.
Pretty tough, Mom.
pretty chilly. Yeah. I guess I must have been dressed up pretty warm,
Yeah, a little ice,
but
you
it-
know.
I don't know what I had on or what I even
Wow.
wore when I was up there.
Man.
But anyway, that was, guy said it was 45 below zero, and nothing like that was too unusual. I mean, it's just 45 below today. that was it.
Man.
So,
I don't like 30.
and then I don't think I ever told you guys this, but I was 8, and anyway, I just wanted, I guess I was wanting something to do anyway. Well, Grandpa's house was almost at the end of one block, but at the other longer part of the block going uptown, like, there was a firebox there, and I broke the thing, and the fireman came down. Oh my gosh, I was scared out of my skin. I mean, oh gee.
Oh, man.
And of course, I got a pretty good overhauling too, I tell you.
Oh.
But no, I don't know whatever possessed me to go and just see what would happen, I guess.
What did you just smash it?
I just did something and broke the glass. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't think I said anything into it, but anyway, they knew it was I that did it, and I guess they asked me or something, and I must have said, "Yeah, I did it." So, but
Wow. Did Grandpa spank you?
well, I got a pretty good overhauling
Oh, okay.
after, I guess, too. Yeah.
Okay.
But I was 8 years old then.
So Dee Dee must have been 3.
She was 3. Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, she wasn't in school or anything.
Oh.
I was. I mean, and went to school up there, and it was a nice school up there too. But yeah, some of those things that wonder why you ever did it. But
Did you guys climb the bluffs up there?
oh, we climbed the bluff all the time.
Oh.
Oh yes.
So what was that like?
Well, it was like climbing up a big stony hill. I mean, it was all a lot of rocks and stuff in there, and of course the rocks helped you to get from place to place too. And yeah, we'd often go up there, climb the bluff. I mean, and yeah, I mean, did that when I was pretty young. I don't remember if I was only 8 years old. I don't think I did it alone then. But I remember going up other years when I was older, and I mean, we'd just go up and climb it ourselves.
Who's we?
Well, a lot of the kids I played with around there and that, and I don't remember if Harry was up there once
Oh, really?
or not.
Harry Clark?
I think Harry was up there once when we were old. He was up there older when we were up there for my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. And Harry and I were up there then, and they were having this big party for my grandparents downstairs. And we were upstairs, and in the front bedroom
Sounding good.
had well, you went from the stairway, there was no door or anything. There was just, you walked upstairs into this front bedroom. And they had a thing about this thing big that was open to let heat come from the downstairs to heat the upstairs. But we were looking down this hole to see what was going on at the party. I mean, And I can just remember that, trying to get our two heads over there so we could look down and see what was going on downstairs.
How old were you then?
Well, let's see, their 50th anniversary,
I mean, like maybe 10 or something like that?
maybe about somewhere around in there. I don't remember what age we
That was
were.
Grandpa's 50th what year was it?
What?
Was Grandpa's 50th one?
Their
My grandpa.
grandpa Mike.
My
Oh,
grandma and
okay.
grandpa, yeah. It was their 50th wedding anniversary. And so I don't know. Maybe I was 10 or something. I don't know. I mean,
Still pretty young.
I was pretty young.
Yeah.
Of course, Harry was just 2 months younger than I was.
Oh.
So we were pretty much the same age, I mean. And, but I remember the two of us trying to get our heads down there to look and see what was going on. And I don't remember if somebody discovered that we were doing that and came up and told us to get our heads out of there or something. But it just seemed something like that must have happened, yeah.
So was that the house where Grandpa lived when he was up there?
It's his own house where he lived.
Where you grew up.
Okay.
Hmm.
I remember because I was up there.
Well, I think we went to Tyler House. I think when our vacation was
when
there.
we were older, yeah. Or,
Yeah.
yeah, I was 12, I think.
Well, that was all the same house.
No, I think maybe
Do you
it was
remember
just
the
before you
address?
were born.
Yeah.
Do you remember the address?
You know, I used to have it written down.
She did give it to me at one time.
I know when we went out west with Betty and Bob, they wanted to see this house.
Oh.
And so, well, we were going that US 2 anyway, so we were going right through Bessemer. And so we just jogged off and I showed them the house where
Oh.
Grandma and Grandpa lived and that I visited and lived in when I was a little kid and stuff. So they thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember when I was 8, but must have been you were 11.
yeah, yeah. I think it was right before Mary was born.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't think I was there then.
No, I think because it was like like you don't take many vacations when you have a baby.
Right, yeah.
So we said, okay, this is it,
We're gonna do it all right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, but
I remember Steve being there.
What's
Steve must
that?
have been there, though.
What's that?
Steve must have been
I
there.
like listening with my eyes
Steve
closed.
must have been there with us.
quiet then.
Maybe he was, yeah.
He was probably there, but
Thank you, kid.
anyway, that's a few memories. And of course, I can remember that year that when I lived up there, when I was 8, when this, from the porch to the sidewalk, where they had shoveled the snow off, was taller, was about 6 feet high,
Wow.
those snowbanks on each side of the street. Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
So like being in the tunnel.
exactly what it felt like being in a tunnel. And we just,
You get the snow up that high.
I mean, I don't know how they got the snow shoveled up that high, to tell you the
I
truth.
can't do it when it's like
I know, it's
2
like-
feet.
Man, wow.
Yeah. But I mean, you wanted to be able to get from the house to the sidewalk. And I don't remember how they plowed the sidewalks. I don't remember like a tractor or something going down the streets to plow the sidewalks. But they did have the sidewalks were plowed. I mean, there was, they were snow free.
Wow.
Because like not that many people even had cars up then. And I mean, so you walked to the grocery store, you walked uptown,
Oh, man.
and it was probably about, at least 5 blocks to get there where there would be stores and that. Because I mean, there was about at least 2 blocks of people living, and then you got where there were a few businesses, and you had to cross US 2, and then all the shopping was like beyond that. And so anyway, that's my memories of being 8 years old up there, yeah.
Well, what about your memories of climbing the fire tower?
Well, see, I was quite a bit older then.
Was that when you were 16 or?
I must have been about 16, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Grandpa would allow an
No.
8 or 9-year-old to go up the fire tower, no.
No.
But he said, but he wanted to climb it. And I said, I did too, I guess. I must have said I wanted to do it. And so he was telling me what to do and stuff, and I was ahead of him. So, I mean, if I fell, I would have knocked us both down. But anyway.
I'm sure Grandma would have loved to hear
Yeah,
that.
right.
And how? But anyway, that
Wow.
it was just a challenge, and he kept telling me, now don't look down, keep looking up. Keep looking up, don't look down. And so we got to the
Wow.
top, and oh, what a panorama when you were up there, I mean, 100 feet up.
Yeah.
And it was just really quite a sight. Of course, now they have airplanes that check all the fires and stuff, forest fires, but that was the way it was then. And there was this little platform like on top with, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was all four sides were protected. And I mean, was something there to, a railing or something to keep you there, because you could kind of look at any direction. I mean, because it was practically all wooded there. And, you know, that was just kind of, I thought that was pretty good. I could climb 100 feet straight up.
Yeah, really. What
Yeah.
was it like coming down?
Don't look
You-
down.
You still like look up. You kind of came, and you could kind of feel with your feet where the steps were and stuff. But
Wow.
that was a one-time trip. Yeah, I didn't climb any fire towers after that. In fact, I don't remember being in Bessemer much after I was 16. I mean, and the only, I think the next
Except
time,
when Kathy was 11.
huh?
When Kathy was 11.
I was, you know, when I climbed that fire tower, I think I was 16.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But then I don't think we went back up until my grandma died or something. We went up
Oh.
for the funeral then. Uh-huh.
Oh.
Well, I know
Another-
we went up for Grandpa Mike's funeral, but that was
Oh.
in the 50s, 1950.
Well, of course, he lived with Aunt Dot for quite a while.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
so-
Yeah, because he was all alone up there and everything then after Grandma died. And I guess none of the family felt it was very good for him just to be up there by himself like that. So Aunt Dot had him come and live with her.
Oh.
And I think how brave she was too, where her sister Ann had, and her husband, my Uncle Art, his mother lived in Halifax, and Aunt Dot drove her dad up there to see his other daughter Ann. Drove up from Royal Oak to Halifax.
Wow.
I mean, that was, I thought, quite a journey for her to drive with an old man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how far that is.
I don't know either, but it's a long way from
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
it's like-
Halifax. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I know Aunt Ann came back for her dad's funeral, but Uncle Art never came back. Never came back to the United States. And I remember that year, I think, that we were in Bessemer, he had an appendicitis attack, and my dad took the train down to see Uncle Art in Royal Oak, where they were still there in Royal Oak, and took him. He wanted to see, because he and my Uncle Art were great buddies. I mean, they got along like maybe better than brothers. I don't know. They just really enjoyed each other so much, and so if he thought he might be going to die or something, he wanted to see him. So he took the train down to Royal Oak and saw him. But he did get better then. I mean, he did recover from that. And then that year, as I grew older, I think, what a trip, I mean, for her to take
Yeah.
with an old man who, I mean, anybody could have attacked him or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa couldn't probably have, he'd probably, somebody could knock him down or very easily, I mean, and
Yeah, well, he was about 90, wasn't he? Or late 80s or something?
he must have been in his middle to late 80s, I bet.
Okay.
Yeah, because he came and he lived with her for a while. I don't know if he was living with her. I think he must have been living with her before they took that trip.
Okay.
And so anyway, I mean, it was quite a trip for her to take and everything. Yeah. So.
I remember going over to her house off and on.
What's
I
that?
remember going over to her house in California.
To her house in California?
Yeah. Quite often.
Yeah, I didn't go over very often, but I remember going over a couple times.
Yeah.
Well, I remember Bill would go over and I think cut her grass for her sometimes and do things around there for her.
I just turned it off.
So,
It's like,
but anyway, those were
and just won't charge it.
a lot of things going on.
A lot of memories.
What do you can turn it back
Well
on.
then, Mom, how about when you met Dad? How'd you meet Dad?
How what?
How did you meet Dad?
How did I meet Dad?
Yeah.
Well, Ruth came over and introduced him to me.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Actually, it was the night before he was drafted into the Navy,
Oh,
and
really?
of course he went to St. Luke's Church, the same church as Ruth did, so she knew him. But she brought him over that night and introduced him to me, and then he just started writing letters to me and stuff. And when he got home, he asked me out for dates, and of course the first thing he invited me to was a hockey game, and I was not liking hockey too much in those days because Ruth and I would go ice skating every night, and we were taking figure skating lessons, and we'd want to go over there and practice at the park, and we'd practice for about maybe 20 minutes, a half hour, and all these boys would come over and start shooting pucks all over the place. So that was the end of any trying to do any skating over there. Skating, fearing for our life. I mean, the pucks would have hit us anywhere. I mean. But anyway, that's where I met him. And the first thing he invited me to was a hockey game. And I thought, a hockey game? I mean.
Was it the Red Wings?
Yes.
Oh, it was?
The Red Wings, yeah. When they were at the Olympia.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Way back.
Well,
Yeah. So, of course, I didn't know much what was going on or anything, but...
So how old were you then?
Well, I was probably 20, 21 maybe.
What, 1945, huh?
Maybe.
See, no, I thought you always liked hockey because all the boys played hockey.
That's when I got to liking hockey, when Bill and Rob started getting into hockey. Then I liked it. Because even I remember that first game that went on, I didn't know anything what was going on really. And Dad was trying to explain to me, they're trying to get a goal here or something. They're back and forth like this.
I
So.
know, I still can't watch it.
So. But then too, it was after that, well, I mean, this was after we got married then, and we were living on Wellesley, and where Welchers lived right across this kitty corner across the street. Well, the lady that lived directly across the street from us was not well. I mean, she was,
You remember this, Rob?
and I mean, the Welch kids used to just, they'd throw stuff in her yard, and they were awful, I mean, to her. And she was not very well. And well, anyway, she just would come out there and scream, "Don't anybody ever step on a blade of our grass!" That was her. Well, this one day, you were out playing in the street or something, and a ball went on her grass. I remember she came out screaming at you or something, and you came home, and I think Dad said, "You better go over there and apologize to her." And so Rob went over, and he apologized to him. Well, he wasn't coming back, and he was not coming back. And I thought, she must have roasted him in the oven or something. I mean, he was not coming back. Finally, he got home. What was going on, They started talking hockey. They knew Rob played hockey. They had season tickets for the Red Wings downtown, for the regular games. And they said, if we can't go, we'll send the tickets over. And they did several times. And I think you and Dad went once. I think he and Bill went once. We went, I think, maybe a couple of times. But that was just like night and day. Rob apologized, and it was just a whole different scene. He never stepped on a blade of their grass again. No. But
Not if he wanted hockey tickets.
but they were, I mean, it was just like night and day when you come over and they just started like, I guess, talking hockey or, I don't know how they knew you played hockey or whatever. Or maybe they asked you, I don't know.
Maybe they saw us going to play a game and had my hockey stuff on.
I have no idea,
The
but,
jerseys and the whole uniform.
well, maybe you had something on like that or something. And
Maybe I saw us going down the park at Wilson.
yeah,
I remember I used to love to put your jerseys on.
I don't, did you play down the park or did they?
I went on as a hockey player.
I didn't know just where I wanted
I know they used to play on Woodward Avenue. But that was way back when Ruth and I were skating on that pond.
We used to play at Gainesville quite a bit.
On Gainsborough?
Yeah.
Okay, they must have been flooding a field back there. Of course, I guess, have you ever been by that place lately?
Yeah.
Oh, Bill said they really got that park. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
redone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of interesting things happen. Yeah. I remember we couldn't imagine what you were doing over there all that time. I mean, oh.
How long does it take to say I'm sorry?
Is he still alive?
Yeah, I thought maybe they had roasted you all right, I mean, in the oven or something. I mean,
I'll teach you.
knowing she wasn't very well or that, but anyway.
Those are Welsh kids were kind of a
Oh, I guess
handful.
they were awful to her. Oh, I mean, they just would throw stuff over in her yard, and I mean, just things just to aggravate her, you know. And just and
I
that
don't
was
think I would want to live next
that
door
was
to them.
bad. Yeah, that was bad.
We didn't far away from them.
No, but at least it wasn't next door.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I didn't want to live next door to them either.
so when you think about it, life wasn't so boring after all. I mean, yeah, I guess that's what still makes it interesting. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
We were pretty good friends with our neighbors on Wellesley.
What's that?
We were pretty good friends with our other neighbors on Wellesley.
Yes, we were. Yeah, we were. I mean,
The O'Connells and the Comptons.
I
And
think
yeah. Well, of course, I used to babysit for
Really?
Trerises that lived, well, about 2 houses down from Welch's.
I didn't care for those.
I mean, they lived right there.
that was really.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There was a Mumas, and then next to them.
Well,
was something.
I mean, I used to babysit for them when they lived
really?
there, but then they moved later to Fairwood.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And Trerises, then they moved from Fairwood. Let's see, what did they first moved to,
That was the guys you worked for, wasn't it?
well,
Treris.
I don't remember how I got babysitting for them.
Oh, all right.
I don't remember how.
Harris was the guy mine used to work for, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Wasn't it Mr. Treris that you worked for?
Yeah, but I don't
You babysat
remember.
for him too, didn't you?
What's that?
Didn't you say you babysat for him?
I babysat for them, but I don't know how I got babysitting for them. Really, I just don't know how all that began. Yeah, they had a boy and a girl, and I mean, I babysat for them, and this boy, he was especially mischievous, and he loved to call up, what is it? He loved to call up somebody and ask them if they had, let's see, what was it?
Something in a can or whatever.
If you have, oh, who was this? If you had somebody in the can,
Yeah.
like, I mean, and
Fill them out.
Oh.
Prince Albert and
Yeah, do you have Prince Albert?
I think it was Prince Albert. Do you have Prince Albert in the can? You know,
I'll let him out.
and that little guy, and he was a little red-headed boy too. He was about 8, I think.
They're mischievous.
Yeah, he was about 8, and Shirley was about 11 or 10 or something like that. But she died. She died, you know, right shortly after we got married. And I never knew after. I just didn't know what happened to where Mr. and Mrs. Treris, where they moved or if they still have done Fairwood, or I don't know.
Oh.
Really, I guess I was so busy with you guys, I guess I didn't have any reason to really call them then, and I probably didn't. And so I don't know what really happened at the end of theirs, their lives and stuff. But he had that good real estate business and stuff. And I read in the paper even now that that all that shopping center right at Livernois and 7 Mile, that Williamsburg Row, and he had that whole thing built, and he had it all. He had 5 people he knew leased. They separated that into 5 sections, and he leased all those sections to some other people, and of course then they rented them to people that they wanted in there and stuff. And but
Wow.
that was quite a. I mean, that was, and the thing before that, he left when he was thinking about this Williamsburg Row, and this was kind of in his imagination that he wanted to have this shopping center. He sent me down to Williamsburg, Virginia, to take pictures of all those stores there.
Wow.
And I took all these pictures and brought them back, and that's what they modeled this Williamsburg Row after.
Oh, really?
Oh, man.
That's pretty interesting. Wow.
But I mean, you know, I think you sent me down there to take pictures of this, and this was just a dream in his mind, like that he wanted to do this. And I would have thought maybe he'd talk to the people in Williamsburg or something and get them to send them stuff for that. But he sent me down there. And I came back with all these pictures, and that's what he used to model that Williamsburg Row after.
Wow.
So I'm always kind of interested when I see something going on there, like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, like what? Be west? No, east. East of Livernois was pretty. You were getting a pretty fancy neighborhoods over there. Quite a wealthy.
And that's Sherwood Forest right there.
Sherwood Forest, yes, which is quite an.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got down more to the 6 Mile,
Yeah.
where you all the U of D and that. Yeah. So that was quite a.
Those are beautiful homes in there now, too.
I know they do. I mean, I haven't been down there in years, but.
I mean, they're well built. I mean, all brick or, big homes.
Big homes, yeah, not little.
Not little frame houses.
No,
There's homes
big
that
homes.
probably,
Yeah. So, yeah, that was his dream, to have this Williamsburg Row, and
Okay.
he did.
Hey, Mom, can I change the subject and ask you another thing? A different subject?
Why not? I'm tired of talking.
What about when you first started going to prayer meetings and really had a deeper relationship with God?
And I can't remember what year.
I think it was 1973 because I went the following year.
Did you?
Yes,
Well, then it must have been.
to the prayer group of St. Mary's.
Well, see, we went to St. Mary's
I know.
prayer group,
And
and
before then, 'cause I was going to U then by then. I think it was before I left. That the stepmom was going there.
well, then that's where we met Paul and Dale Harridge there, and met some other people and stuff there. Sipes. We met Sipes there, and Ronies. We met them
Yeah.
there, and but it just there were people kind of. It just didn't have enough. I don't know what to say, but I mean it was going pretty good for a while, and then it just kind of was. I don't know whether Ronies were leaving at that time. They were. Well, they left altogether. I mean, but then that's when we started going to Shrine. Yeah.
But I think it sort of changed your life, though, with
Definitely.
with God.
Definitely. Very definitely. Yeah.
Because I started going in January in 1974.
To Shrine?
No, to the
St. Mary's?
prayer group.
St. Mary's,
Because you had gone the following.
Which, after well, I don't know who was pastor then, wasn't too into prayer groups or anything like that. I forget who was there then, but this was after Father Poos, and he always had people that would stay after 9 o'clock Mass and go back into St. Therese Chapel, and you'd pray with people. If somebody needed prayer for some special thing, they'd come back there and you would pray with them. Well, then, whoever was pastors after that, now I can't even remember who all were the pastors then, but they, I guess, kind of poo-pooed that, didn't like it, or something. But anyway, Bob McClory now has had articles in the church paper about starting that over again. And if you feel like you need prayer for something, come back after 9 o'clock Mass, and there'll be people there to pray with you and stuff. And I was just so delighted to see that from when he was just a kid there, like then, and that now, and he brought that back again now. And apparently, I assume it's pretty successful. I think a lot of people go back there for prayer.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was really, I thought, it's just a special blessing always, to do that. And of course, quite a few people from Love of God prayer group would be back there praying. Would be people that would come out and pray and stuff. And so. And that's where I met, too, Molly Daly, and them.
Oh, yeah.
And Dick Daly's uncle was here. And they would come over so often to see him and everything. And he was getting, he was with it, but he was kind of without it. And then he got sick. And he died. And he just died.
Oh, he died?
He died probably about maybe a month and a half ago or so. Yeah. But he was so interesting to.
Another guy.
Oh.
But he was so interesting to talk to. He was a dentist, Dr. Brady, Joe Brady, and he lived up there in Marine City, and he was telling me one time I was visiting him, he talked to all those big freighter captains. Most of them lived right around Marine City and that there. And he would talk with them, and he knew all them, and he just really enjoyed living up there in Marine City and just enjoyed this atmosphere of all these big freighter captains and everything, and talking with them, and they'd talk about incidents and things that happened on their trips and that.
Mm-hmm. I know you and Dad used to go up there, along the river there.
Yes, Yeah, we went camping there several times, like in Port Huron, which is, of course, past Marine City and that, but it was just interesting to talk to somebody that had such kind of a personal relationship with a lot of these captains and knew some of these big freighter people and stuff. And yeah, he just started going down, it seemed like, all of a sudden, and then they moved him to one of these other areas. Now, I don't know if it was the ECU or the memory, I don't know which, they moved him to one of those, but he didn't live there too long. He was there a short while, and then he apparently got quite sick and died. But yeah, that was kind of sad to see him go too. But no, he loved living up there with, he said, all these big freighter captains and stuff, and the stories they would come and talk about and stuff, and so, yeah.
You know what I was thinking about, like when you were telling me that when Grandpa would drive and you would be in the rumble seat?
Oh.
That was Aunt Ann and Uncle Art.
Oh, okay.
They had this, and I cannot remember what the name of that car was, but I read in the paper, well, I don't know what house we were in, maybe on Maxwell or something. There were only, and I cut it out, but of course when we moved here, I have no idea what happened to any of that stuff. There was a notice that there were only 7 of these cars that he had that they knew of in existence anymore.
Oh.
And as I say, I just cannot think of the name of that car. But
Yeah, I think you told me at the time. I could look it up.
but
And yeah, because like when I talk to you on the phone, I'll make notes so I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I'll forget.
Okay.
So I could look that up. Yeah.
but I would like to know what the name of that car was. And it said, I mean, they were
I did
worth.
say it one time.
Oh, they were worth a lot of money. I mean, only 7 of them being in existence.
Oh, yeah.
So they were quite a few $1,000s. I mean, these cars were worth. And that I remember cutting out that little article, and I thought, man, I rode in a rumble seat of that car one time. Yeah, it was funny.
You
The Hudson?
Harry and his mother were visiting us when we lived out here in just a couple blocks over north of here.
Really?
We lived on,
You lived over here?
we lived right across this, more by or Rochester Road.
Yeah.
We lived just about, I think it was 2 blocks north of 13, and then we moved about 3 blocks south of 13 when we were on LaSalle.
Yes.
And
Is that house still there?
yes, it is. That house is still there.
I gotta go back and look at that.
That's right by St. Mary's Church, isn't it?
What's that?
That's close to St. Mary's Church, isn't it?
Oh no.
No.
Oh.
It's more up by me, Rochester and 13.
Okay.
Actually, it's just we were just north and south of 13.
Okay, and then you guys moved to Pleasant.
Well then, and I went to kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade at that Oak Ridge school. Of course, that school is gone. The school I went to is gone,
Oh.
and McDonald's and all that is in there. But they
Where's
built.
Florida now? Oakland
It's
School?
south of 13, Oak Ridge
Oh.
School.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Do you remember what year that was, Mom? Like with the rumble seat? Like what?
it was just 2 seats in the front, and the rumble seat in the back.
Right, but do you know around what year? How old were you, do you think? Just give us a general.
Oh, maybe 9 or 10 or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, my Uncle Art had that car, and we were going to Belle Isle this day,
Oh.
and he was going to take Harry, because Harry was here visiting. He was going to take us to Belle Isle for a picnic or something, and they were in the front, we were in the rumble seat, and I don't know, we got half or 3/4 of the way down there, and it started pouring rain. We were in the rumble seat. I mean, the rain was coming in there. We turned around and went back home. We never went to Belle Isle that day. No.
Did you get sopped?
Huh?
Did you get
Well, we were sopped. Yes, it was raining. I mean, but we guess we weren't upset or anything. We were just kind of laughing, I guess. And
Well, kids do, yeah.
back of this rumble
Didn't
seat,
care about your hair.
it was just so much fun being in this rumble
hair
seat.
done.
Uh-huh. Yeah, being in this rumble seat and having fun in there and stuff, and that was that. I mean, but they took that car when they went up to Canada to live. They took that car. But it was funny
It
too.
wasn't a Model A, was it?
Model 8,
A.
A. No, it wasn't a Ford car or anything. No.
Ford.
I didn't think it was a, no, I didn't, it was something else.
Was
No.
it a GM car?
I think it was some individual type of a car.
Yeah, I thought it was a,
Something
yeah.
individual?
I know you told me one time, I think I have it written down somewhere, but I can't remember.
What did I tell you?
I can't remember, but I know I wrote, I think, because you told me that story once before, and I think you knew that, and I wrote it down.
I think I knew what the car was too.
Yeah.
But and I remember when I saw it in the
Yeah,
paper.
One of those ones that aren't being made anymore, maybe?
No,
No.
They're not being made anymore.
no,
I mean, like Chevrolet is, or like GM, it wouldn't be one of those.
no. I don't think it was one of those companies at all.
But we
They
don't-
I
said
th-
that was
Some-
a 1938 Chevrolet. That was one of the last American-built cars with a rumble seat.
it was older than that.
What year was that?
It's 38.
1938.
Oh, that Chevrolet built one. Well, this was no Chevrolet. No, it was
Did Packard
something
ever-
entirely different.
It wasn't an acronym?
No, Packard?
So
A Packard? No, it doesn't say
Yeah,
Packard.
it's funny.
Well, it was
Well,
Road,
done
yeah.
talking, Mom?
Who?
You about
Yeah,
done
Was
talking?
it a Packard,
Yeah.
was it?
You about done talking?
Not a Cadillac.
I better be, I guess.
You just get warmed up.
Let somebody else.
Let
Let somebody else talk for a change.
Oh, this is good, man.
That's nice, you know.
Or yours.
But
I don't.
They also called it a mother-in-law seat.
Oh, the full one was
Oh.
mine.
You hear
I
that?
don't know.
Yeah, I was drinking, I think it was this one, and I don't know if that was my original one.
Mary, they call it a mother-in-law seat also.
Oh.
I know.
if you had the mother-in-law, you put her in the rumble seat. I don't know.
But you're hoping that she'll fly out.
Ejector.
Yeah, really. Ooh, I didn't mean to hit that high bump.
Oh, well.
But you know, it's funny. Different times when we were just out driving or something, I always thought, gee, I'd love to see just one of those cars on the road, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, but what, the other day, Mike comes and he's like, you should see all the old cars in the neighborhood. And it's like, really? How many were there? Like
Oh,
7 or 8?
6 or 7, yeah.
In your neighborhood?
What are they doing there?
I don't know if they had done a show or something and then just came over to like somebody's house.
Oh, yeah,
Because
okay.
like we went around like 3 times, like just
Oh.
looking at them because they were just like,
Okay.
oh, those are so cool.
Wow.
How old were they? I mean, like,
How old would, well, there were some really old, like,
Model Ts or something?
I would think so, wouldn't you, Mike? Like
What?
in that era?
Oh, they were 31s, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they were set on.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, okay,
Man.
yeah, I think they did have like a license plate that said like 1930 or
Oh,
31
okay.
or something like that, yeah.
Did you see that old one out in the, I mean, it was like a sports car on the parking lot here? Or maybe they were gone by the time you got, it was like, sort of later. I mean,
Oh.
This is when I first got here. There was like a yellow sports car, like in the parking lot. Did you guys see that?
No.
Okay,
I
maybe
didn't.
they were gone then.
Like real old?
Well, it was probably like,
Like a 70s or 60s?
it was probably like maybe 60s or maybe even 50s, because
Oh.
it was, I mean.
Really
it could-
cool.
Yeah, it looked pretty old though.
But you know, in all the old cars that you see in August when they have that big deal here,
The Dream
Yeah.
Cruise?
I never saw a car with a rumble seat in it.
Oh.
In all those cars, we'd kind of walk up and down and look at the cars and stuff.
Well, we went to that museum too, though.
No, but I'm just saying, trying to remember that car that you were talking about. Darn it.
But never ever saw one with a rumble seat, I
'Cause
thought.
that was a long time ago,
But you
so
know,
I
on
can't
that
really
cruise,
search
they
my
don't,
history.
they have less and less cars right on the road, you know, I mean,
They're all just parked.
yeah, yeah.
I suppose they
Yeah,
don't
we
want to
did,
get
but I-
they don't want to
I
get
had the
them
name
bumped
of the
or
car.
anything like that, I guess.
They
Uh-huh.
You probably Google like name some.
I did. I googled like
Couldn't you?
two-seater with rumble seats from 1931, 32, and
It's all around.
mostly it's like 90% of it is Ford.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I
Before
remember
what,
this,
Mike?
I talked to my mom on the phone,
It
I'll
keeps
take
coming up
notes,
Ford.
'cause I don't- I'm
Yeah,
not
Like
gonna
90% of it is
stuff
Ford. It's a
Right.
Ford. And it's like you said,
Like, once I.
and it was not a
10 minutes
Ford. I
later, I'll
don't
forget.
remember.
This
what
was
it
not a Ford. No, no way.
Okay.
I wanna-
Uh-uh.
Dang it, I can't remember.
Yeah, I do that.
I wish I would
Yeah.
know
It's
what
dated.
date that was in the paper, because I would write and ask them to give me the details of that.
I thought maybe.
Like, I wanna be able to tell,
You know, that's
My
like with the internet,
grandkids are-
with, Google searches.
you know.
Sometimes it doesn't find things you think it would. It seems
Well,
like that.
this time, like when we looked at it the one time, Mary had the name and we looked it up. Because I remember looking at pictures of it and like, wow, that's a cool car.
Uh-huh.
Good.
Yeah.
I do not remember.
You would have loved my grandpa, Mike.
Yeah, he would've,
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was still, I mean, he just reminds me a lot of you sometimes.
You know, I think I still have the tape of Grandpa that we took like
Oh, really?
probably 35 years ago or whatever.
That's the one you
really?
can't find.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I had it,
Oh.
like the
You had-
cassette tape,
Yes.
because I had one and I cannot find it.
Oh.
What
Do
kind
you
of a
have
car did we have
I
then?
think, I
If you
think I
have one,
do,
we
yeah.
can certainly make a copy of it,
Okay.
like a digital copy
Yeah,
of it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What
Yeah,
kind of
when
a car
when
did we have
taped
then,
them, like,
Kathy?
Telling stories?
What?
What kind of a car did we have then?
Kind of a car?
Uh-huh.
When?
Well, when you're talking about here.
Well, it was just, it was like a tape, like on a tape recorder, like Grandpa talking.
Oh,
Like we did the same thing with Grandpa.
Oh, wow.
And he was, you know,
Man.
talking about all,
You know how Grandpa used to tell stories and
Oh,
stuff?
definitely. Rob does too. He just
Yeah.
about choked Grandpa.
Yeah. He's trying.
Well, yeah, his, I
you
mean,
should have got that on there. But yeah, I'll look for it at home.
okay.
You were so intent on what he was talking about. And here you were winding his necktie, and he always wore a necktie on Sunday. I mean,
Like when we,
and you're winding his necktie, and he's choking, I guess. And oh dear,
so, yeah.
it must have been some good story because you were sure into it.
I
Yeah.
think somewhere, I think we filmed those tapes for you and Dad. We went to the Tiger game. And you guys were
Oh,
announcing.
your phone died?
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have your charger.
Well, Josh gave me
It
that
charges and it stops, and it charges
for
and it
Oh, he
stops.
did?
a birthday present. Yes.
Oh.
This is
Do you
like-
remember when Josh gave me that
Oh,
that trip to the up to the broadcast booth?
okay.
Yeah.
Done.
You don't need power.
And I mean, that was the most fun. We were right
And
next
plug
door
this
to
in and charge it,
uh,
which
Oh,
it
and
was
then-
charged
who's
totally,
the big
but-
announcer?
Yeah.
Dan Dickerson and like Jim Price, you mean?
But I think this, I think
Or-
it's
No, who was
I just
Not,
charged
not
it.
Ernie Harwell, was it?
Okay.
who?
It wasn't Ernie Harwell.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
We were
Price?
right next to Ernie
Oh.
Harwell.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Of course, he was broadcasting out everywhere. I was in this booth
Yeah.
broadcasting just on a tape, like.
'Cause I thought
But it was so much fun. And the next year, I mean, I'd never heard of that before until Josh got that.
I had the,
And the next year, I was wanting to get him one for his birthday because it was so much fun.
put it in.
And I know he would have loved it. And they discontinued that.
I have it grabbed,
And I don't know why they ever started it and discontinued it after 1 year.
so I just have the
Mm-hmm.
holder.
Huh.
When we went there, probably that same weather, didn't we? When we went there with Dad.
I don't know, a year or so ago.
But you didn't go up in the booth.
Yeah, we did.
So
We
we
went
should
up
be
there.
there.
We went up,
So good.
and we were,
It was,
Yeah.
well, we were close to the booth.
although
Well, I don't remember just where you were, but I know I wanted to
Well,
get,
You were there too.
When you were moving.
I don't know where we were then
Or
because I was,
remove when she.
I just loved being up there. That
Oh,
both, I mean, Dad and I up there, it was so much fun. And I had being next to Ernie Harwell,
Yeah.
you know, that was just such a treat. And
Well, there's another one about the.
tried to get one for Josh the next year, and they just told me they had
Okay.
completely discontinued it.
Okay,
So for what reason, I have no idea.
okay.
But
Oh, yeah.
And that would be important to Josh.
Oh, yeah.
that was just really a fun experience. Uh-huh.
He gave it to her.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So
Josh gave you that, right?
yes, he did. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get one for him, and that was gone. Uh-huh. So
And Mom and Dad and I went up there right around that time. And
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh. Up to the booth?
yeah, we did.
And what, did
And
you,
we made a tape,
oh, you did?
yeah,
I can't remember that at all, Rob.
Do you still have it?
probably somewhere.
Okay.
I don't remember anything about that either.
You don't?
But that was just such a fun thing.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I remember Dad and I, and we were all there.
But I remember Kathy took us on a tour through in the old Tigers,
Yeah.
a whole tour of all the.
Did I tell you that Mike got me 2 Tiger Stadium seats?
Oh, yeah.
No.
I
Where's
told
that?
Mom. Mhm.
Where's
Really?
that?
Yeah.
Where's that?
Old seats?
Oh, really?
Old
Yeah.
seats?
What's that you're
Oh,
saying?
well, the blue ones, not the old ones.
Yeah, not the old ones are like,
Really?
yeah.
I have a picture, but my phone died.
Really?
Oh, here, I got it
Oh.
somewhere in here, so it's my phone. doesn't have it.
Where'd you get them?
Oh, we just got it. Josh and I got them on just online. They sold.
Oh.
Like the company would come in and take all the seats out and then authenticate them. Except for I asked them to send me ones with like number 17 and 18, and they said okay, we'll do that. And then they did.
Because my birthday's the 17th.
And then
so
I'm
I was
like,
making-
oh.
you know, how do you send them back?
Okay.
And,
17 is a good number.
Yeah.
and actually, I suppose we could have. And then I was like, well, maybe they could just take the plates off of them.
No, they're fine.
Take the plates off? You mean
That
like
were the
other
number
numbers?
plates. Thought I put them in here.
So where do you have them?
Like downstairs, like by our TV.
Oh, so you can sit in and watch the game or whatever?
You can, yeah.
What have you got down there?
Hmm?
What have you got down there?
I got a lot of
Mike got me 2 Tiger Stadium seats. Remember I told you
and
that?
Josh.
Josh and Mike, yes.
Say that again.
like 2 seats that were from Tiger Stadium.
Oh yes, okay, okay.
And
Uh-huh.
so we have, I put them like downstairs by
Uh-huh.
our TV. So.
Mm-hmm.
I apparently have a lot of pictures of you in here.
Well, better than somebody else.
Apparently.
Trying to wind my way through here.
I guess they sold quite a few of those seats too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine they did pretty well at that too.
Because I don't think I labeled them.
Did you wanna get them a couple seats?
Yeah, maybe, because I don't want them sitting near me. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, they're pretty big fans too, right?
Yeah.
Well, but one thing I remember at that stadium, Tiger Stadium too, was we were
Oh, there we
there were Grandpa and myself.
Oh,
I don't remember who else was there at the time,
oh,
but anyway, right over the left field stands there, and this
they're bigger than I remember them.
this guy came zooming over that left field.
Oh, I remember
Oh, the plane?
the airplane.
The guy that buzzed Morris,
Yeah.
and he went right down over, and I thought he was going to pass out. He did not see this guy coming, or he had his back to that, and then he zoomed up right over him, and then he zoomed. We were in the right field,
Of that?
right,
Oh,
kind of right by
Well, look at pictures of this.
third base, I think, or something. And
That's this, the blue seats.
okay,
Yeah, so we got a couple of those.
good,
Wow.
Do you want to hear what she just
Oh,
asked?
what?
oh,
If I was clothed?
Oh,
Yes, I'm like,
That's a
sitting
whole,
in the seat?
that's a whole other folder that you
What
can't
do
get to.
Yeah,
see, thank you, thank you.
these seats
kidding.
look a lot more comfortable than some of the seats you sit in now.
Yeah, some of the old ones, when it was like before those, are like, they're $1,000.
What are you guys laughing at?
Really?
Yeah, they're
Kevin's
nice.
asking indecent.
Now, what were you laughing at there about
It's not
the?
a decent picture husband.
I don't want to take pictures of me and put them on his phone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
My picture was
You know, I can't find that coupon.
Oh.
Oh, well, here's a picture of my wife.
No, will this work?
You were talking about all the pictures of Mary on Mike's phone. I asked Mary if she was clothed.
Oh,
Let's see.
You know, you hear
I
all
remember now.
You hear all these stories about people.
Okay, that's not me, Kathy.
I'm sorry. It was
Just
a joke,
checking
I'm
there.
sorry.
You never
I'll
know
send
when
you
you
a
find
picture
out.
of me.
Okay.
And if there were any on there, they wouldn't be in the same photo gallery. as
That's what I'm
that.
hoping.
You don't know for sure though.
I know. Like you
Gotcha.
forget to put them in another one.
Alexa, show me Mary's pictures.
That's not how I would title them.
Oh,
Show me
really?
the secret folder.
Yeah.
Oh, now we know.
Yeah, now you let it out of the bag, Mike. Thanks.
Secret folder.
Alexa, close your eyes and show me the secret folder.
That's okay. That's close your eyes.
Wendy's not gonna be there. They're gonna,
When you go down to.
yeah.
Oh,
So
really?
they bought a camper, we're heading west. She's gotten the summer off work. So they're
Wow.
going to do some exploring and probably won't be back until mid-June.
Oh my gosh. Wow. When are they leaving?
How old are their
I'm
kids?
soon,
They
I
have two
would think.
kids? Two kids?
Who was there?
Who, Wendy?
My
Yeah.
sister is in Atlanta, so
3.
we won't be able to
Got
see
it.
her.
Oh.
They
Ryan,
must be
Samantha,
pretty-
and Zach.
They
Yeah.
must be
Oh,
pretty
man, we're
old
jealous.
now too, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all out on their own, yeah.
Oh.
So now, yeah, she and
Well, yeah, Samantha's in
Utah.
Salt Lake City.
Wow.
Zach is back home.
He was out like
And
on a barge,
Ryan's in
like,
New Orleans.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
And Ryan and his wife